Adam was a man who liked to keep things simple. He was a software developer, living alone in a small city on Earth. His life was busy, and his apartment often became a mess. His work took up most of his time, leaving him no energy to clean, cook, or take care of the little things that made a home feel like a home. Adam wasn't a lazy person, but he couldn't balance everything. One evening, as he sat at his desk coding, he stared at his messy living room. The laundry pile was getting bigger. The kitchen was a mess, and he hadn't dusted his apartment in weeks. He realized that he needed help, but hiring a person seemed too expensive, and he didn't really want someone around all the time. Adam had heard a lot about new technology in the last few years, especially robots. People were talking about personal robots to help with daily chores. He thought it might be a good solution for him. So, with a tired sigh, Adam pulled out his phone and searched for robot maid services. He clicked on a link for Xerith Technologies, a company that advertised advanced robotic maids for efficient home cleaning. The website promised that their robots were not only intelligent but also capable of adapting to the needs of any human. Adam liked the sound of that. The price was a little higher than he expected, but he didn't mind. This would save him time and energy, and he could finally focus on his work without worrying about household chores. With a few taps, Adam filled out the form, requesting a robot maid. The ad said the maid would be delivered in a few days. It was almost too good to be true. The next day, Adam received an email confirming the order, and a delivery time was set for that evening. He couldn't help but feel excited. This would be a big change for him. No more cleaning, no more dishes piling up in the sink. Just a robot that would take care of everything. That evening, Adam waited for the delivery, his anticipation growing. At exactly 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. He rushed to open the door, expecting to see a sleek, shiny robot standing in front of him, ready to work. But what he saw instead was nothing like what he expected. "I am not human," Lyra explained. "I am ... a being from another world. I have been assigned to you to serve and assist, as requested. I am fully capable of handling household tasks, just as a robot would." Adam was still in shock. What was going on? He didn't know whether to be scared or amazed. He had heard of alien life, of course, but never expected to meet one in his own home, let alone hire one as a maid. He didn't know if this was some kind of prank or if he was dreaming. Lyra looked at him with patience, waiting for him to speak. Adam, trying to make sense of everything, said, I didn't expect this. I thought you were supposed to be a robot." Lyra's violet eyes seemed to study him closely. "I am a maid, as per your request," she replied softly. "I was sent to assist you, just as the company promised. I am capable of taking care of the tasks you need help with, and I am here to make your life easier." Adam shook his head, still trying to grasp what was happening. Was this some kind of high-tech disguise? Maybe this woman was part of some new, advanced robotic technology. But if that was true, why did she look so human? He had no answers. "Okay, I guess you can come in," Adam said, stepping aside and motioning for her to enter. "I don't know what to say, but let's get this started." Lyra nodded and stepped into his apartment. She moved with grace, her steps silent but purposeful. Adam watched as she entered his messy living room, not fazed by the piles of laundry or the dishes stacked high on the counter. "I will clean everything for you," she said calmly, "and I will also learn how to make your life more comfortable." Adam wasn't sure what to say next. This whole situation felt surreal, but at the same time, he couldn't help but feel curious. Who was this woman, and what exactly did she mean by not human? With a deep breath, Adam decided to play along for now. Maybe there was more to Lyra than he understood. As she started cleaning the room with efficiency and ease, Adam sat back on the couch, still trying to figure out what was happening. Lyra, for her part, didn't seem concerned. She was here to do a job, and she would do it well no matter how strange the circumstances were. The next few days were like nothing Adam had ever experienced. Lyra, the mysterious alien maid, quickly became a part of his daily routine. She was always around, helping with chores, organizing his living space, and even cooking simple meals. At first, Adam had been unsure about having someone, especially an alien, living with him. But over time, he started to relax. Lyra's calm presence gave him a sense of peace he hadn't known before. What surprised Adam the most was how fast Lyra worked. Every time he turned around, something had been cleaned, organized, or fixed. One morning, he woke up to find the kitchen spotless. Dishes that had been sitting there for days were gone, and the countertops gleamed. He had barely even noticed Lyra moving around. She worked silently, almost as if she were part of the apartment itself. When he asked her about it, Lyra simply smiled and said, I am efficient. It is my purpose to help you. Adam didn't question it. It was hard to argue with results. And for the first time in ages, his home was clean and tidy. But as the days went by, Adam started to notice something strange. Lyra wasn't just fast at cleaning, she was incredibly skilled at everything she did. The way she handled tasks was almost unnatural. One evening, Adam came home from work to find that she had cooked a meal for him. The food was perfect, more delicious than anything he had ever tasted. When he asked her how she had managed to cook such an amazing dish, Lyra simply said, I have been programmed to understand human tastes and preferences. That was another thing Adam couldn't understand. Lyra didn't just do things like a robot would. Robots, from what he knew, had rigid instructions and functions. But Lyra, she adapted. She learned. She seemed to know exactly what Adam wanted, even without him saying anything. Do you always know what I need? Adam asked one night, as he sat at the kitchen table. Lyra was putting away the dishes, her movements graceful and fluid. I do not always know, but I observe, she replied. Your actions, your behavior, your moods, they teach me how to assist you better. Adam looked at her, trying to understand. She wasn't just a maid. She wasn't just a machine. Lyra was something else. But what was she really? And why was she so different from what he had expected? Over the next few days, Adam started paying closer attention to her behavior. He noticed that Lyra rarely slept. At first he thought it was because she was a robot, and robots didn't need sleep. But one night, when he woke up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, he saw something strange. Lyra was sitting on the couch, her eyes closed, but she wasn't asleep. Instead, she was in a deep, meditative trance. Her body was perfectly still, almost as if she were powered down. Adam was curious. Are you okay? He asked, stepping closer. Lyra opened her eyes slowly, as if she had been waiting for him. Yes, I am fine. This is how I rest. I do not require sleep as humans do, but I do need time to recharge. It was the first time Adam had ever heard her speak about herself so openly. Before, she had always been the quiet, efficient maid. He had never really thought about how she might feel or what she needed. You don't need sleep? Adam asked, still trying to wrap his head around it. Lyra replied softly, I only need energy. When I am not working, I meditate to restore my power and maintain my focus. It made sense, in a way. She wasn't a normal maid or even a normal robot. She was something entirely different, with abilities beyond Adam's understanding. As the days passed, Adam started to grow more comfortable with Lyra's presence. She was always there, always helping, but it wasn't just about the chores. Lyra had a way of making him feel less alone. It was like having a companion, even though she wasn't human, but there was still something about her that felt off. Lyra wasn't just fast and efficient, she was almost perfect. Her understanding of human emotions was uncanny, and her ability to adapt to situations was beyond anything Adam had ever seen. He began to wonder if she had been sent here to learn about him, to observe him, or maybe even to influence him in some way. One afternoon, as Adam was working on his computer, he noticed Lyra standing by the window, staring out at the city. Her posture was relaxed, but there was something in her eyes that Adam couldn't quite understand. Is everything okay? He asked, looking up from his screen. Lyra turned to him, her face unreadable. I am simply observing. I am learning more about Earth every day. I do not know much about your world, but I find it fascinating. Adam studied her for a moment. She wasn't just here to clean. She was here to learn, to observe, maybe even to study him. And yet, he didn't feel threatened. If anything, he felt more at ease with her than he ever had with anyone else. What are you learning about Earth? Adam asked, curious. Lyra thought for a moment before answering. I am learning about human behavior, your emotions, your cultures. I am learning about your world through your eyes. Adam, I am trying to understand what makes humans human. Adam didn't know what to say. He had never considered that Lyra might be here to study him. He had been so caught up in her abilities, in her mysterious nature, that he hadn't stopped to think about why she was really here. But as he looked at her, standing by the window with that distant, thoughtful look in her eyes, he realized that he was more than just her subject of study. Somewhere along the way, Lyra had become more than just a maid to him. She had become a friend. But as Adam sat back and thought about it, one question kept circling in his mind. Who or what was Lyra really? One part of the website that caught his eye. It was a small section, hidden deep in the site's links, that mentioned advanced intelligence programs and alien assistance for Earth. The page seemed to be heavily encrypted, but Adam's curiosity got the best of him. He pulled up his own software and started to work on hacking into the system. It didn't take long before he was inside, digging through the company's secret files. As he went through the data, Adam's heart began to race. The information was unlike anything he had ever seen before. According to the files, Xerath Technologies was not just a company. It was a front for something much larger, an intergalactic program that worked with alien civilizations. The program's goal was to send beings from other worlds to Earth to study humanity. They weren't just sending robots or machines, they were sending actual aliens. Like Lyra, the more Adam read, the more he learned. Lyra wasn't just a maid, she had been sent to Earth as a scout, tasked with studying humans and their culture. The company had been monitoring Adam for weeks before they made contact with him. Lyra's arrival wasn't a mistake, it was part of a plan. She had been sent to live with him and gather information about humanity's resilience, creativity, and intelligence. But what troubled Adam the most was that Lyra hadn't been sent to help, she had been sent to observe. Adam's mind was spinning as he closed his laptop. This was bigger than he could have imagined. He had always known that Earth might not be alone in the universe, but he never expected to be a part of something like this. He stared at the door to his living room, wondering if he should confront Lyra. He didn't want to believe that she was a spy, or that she had been lying to him. But the evidence was clear. She wasn't just a maid. She was an alien sent to observe him, and possibly the entire world. A part of Adam wanted to shut everything down and tell her to leave, but another part of him didn't want to lose her. He had grown fond of Lyra. She was more than just a helper. In his home, she had become a friend, and yet, the reality of her mission still weighed on him. The next day, Adam decided to confront her. He couldn't keep living in uncertainty. He needed answers. Lyra, Adam called as he walked into the living room. Can we talk? Lyra was sitting by the window again, her eyes focused on the city outside. She turned to him with a soft smile. Of course, Adam. What is on your mind? Adam hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to start. I did some research on Xerath Technologies, he said slowly, and I found something surprising. Lyra's smile faded just slightly, but she didn't seem surprised by his words. She had always been honest with him, or at least she had seemed so. Adam took a deep breath and continued. You're not just a maid, are you? Lyra stood up and turned to face him, her expression calm. No, Adam, I am not just a maid. Adam's heart sank. He had been hoping for some kind of explanation that would make sense, but he wasn't sure if he could trust her anymore. Then what are you? Lyra took a step forward. I am an agent of Xerath Technologies. I was sent to Earth to observe your world, your species. My mission is to study humanity, your behavior, your emotions, your creativity, and your resilience. I was not sent to help you, Adam. I was sent to learn from you. Adam's mind was reeling. So, everything you've done for me, all the cleaning, cooking, everything, ... That was just part of the mission. Lyra nodded, her eyes filled with sincerity. Yes, but I must also tell you this, Adam. While my mission was to observe, my time here has changed me. I did not expect to form connections, but I have. You have shown me more about humanity than I ever could have imagined. Adam wasn't sure how to respond. Part of him wanted to be angry, to demand that she leave, but another part of him couldn't. He had seen a side of her that didn't match the mission. Lyra wasn't just a scout. She had become someone he trusted. You single quotes VE ... changed? Adam asked, his voice shaking slightly. Lyra nodded. Yes. I have learned more about humans than I ever thought possible. I've learned about your emotions, your struggles, your strength. I never expected to form bonds, but I have. You've become more than just a subject of study to me. Adam, I consider you a friend. Adam stood there in silence, trying to process everything. He had known something was off, but he had never imagined it would be like this. Lyra was part of something bigger, something beyond his understanding. But as he looked at her, standing in front of him, he realized that, no matter who she was or what her mission was, he had developed feelings for her. But what would this mean for their future? What would it mean for Earth? The next few weeks were strange for Adam. He knew the truth about Lyra now, and everything had changed. She wasn't just a maid or even just an alien, she was part of something much bigger. Yet, despite all of the revelations, Adam couldn't push her away. The more time they spent together, the more his feelings for her grew. She wasn't like other beings. She was different, unpredictable in a way that felt both comforting and challenging. Lyra continued to help with the chores, of course. She made everything seem easy, from cleaning to cooking. But now, Adam began to notice things that went beyond the tasks. She would sit with him during his breaks, talking about things that made no sense to her, but she tried to understand anyway. She asked him questions about Earth, about humans, and about emotions, things she had never experienced. She didn't just observe anymore, she tried to feel. One day Adam found himself sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee in his hand. As Lyra worked in the kitchen, she was humming softly while chopping vegetables, something Adam had never noticed before. The gentle sound seemed to bring warmth to the room, making it feel a little less like the cold, lonely space it had once been. "You're in a good mood today," Adam said. Unable to hide his surprise at the peaceful feeling in the air, Lyra looked up from her work, her violet eyes bright. "I have been thinking about something," she said quietly. "I have been here for some time now, observing and learning, but I still do not understand what makes humans feel the way you do. Why do you laugh when you are sad, or cry when you are happy?" Adam thought about it for a moment. "I guess that's just part of being human. Emotions aren't always clear or easy to understand. They mix together sometimes, and it's okay. It's what makes us us." Over the next few days, they talked more about emotions, relationships, life on Earth, and what it meant to be human. Adam shared stories from his childhood, how he had learned to cope with the ups and downs of life. He told her about his friends, his family, and how sometimes he felt lonely even when surrounded by people. Lyra listened closely, asking questions that showed how much she wanted to understand him. At the same time, Adam also learned more about her. She told him about her home planet, a world far from Earth, where emotions weren't expressed in the same way on her planet. Logic and efficiency were prized above all else. She had never experienced love or companionship. Before coming to Earth, she had always been focused on her mission and studying humanity. But now, she found herself questioning everything she had been taught. Could emotions be as important as knowledge? Could love be as powerful as logic? Lyra began to change in small ways. Her movements became less robotic, more fluid. She smiled more often, and her eyes would light up when she spoke about something that interested her. She still had her purpose to observe humanity, but now, Adam felt like she was also living here, not just watching from the sidelines. She was becoming part of his world in ways neither of them had expected. One evening, Adam was sitting on the couch, watching a movie. Lyra had asked if she could join him. She had never watched a movie before, and she was curious about it. At first, she was quiet, watching the screen with a focused intensity, trying to understand the emotions the characters were experiencing. Adam noticed her watching intently, her face reflecting the ups and downs of the story. As the movie reached an emotional climax, Lyra's expression softened. When the credits started rolling, she turned to Adam. "That was interesting," she said. "I do not fully understand why the characters felt the way they did, but I felt something while watching something warm." Adam smiled at her, feeling a connection grow between them. "That's what emotions can feel like," he said. "It's not always logical, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's real." Lyra nodded slowly. "I think I am starting to understand." Over time, Adam realized that he was no longer just helping Lyra learn about humanity. She was teaching him as well. Through her, he began to see the world differently. He had always been focused on logic, on work, on goals. But now, he was learning to slow down, to appreciate the simple moments in life. One evening, as they sat together on the couch after dinner, Lyra turned to him with a serious expression. "Adam," she began, her voice soft, "I have been thinking about something. I do not want to complete my mission. I do not want to return to my people with only knowledge about humans. I want to know you. I want to be with you. I want to experience what it means to be human." Adam's heart skipped a beat. Lyra was opening up to him in a way that was almost human, for the first time. Adam realized that Lyra's mission was not the only thing that mattered to her. She cared about him, and he cared about her too. "I don't know what that means for either of us," Adam said, his voice trembling slightly, "but I'm willing to figure it out with you." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing with warmth. "Then we will figure it out together, Adam. We will learn from each other." As they sat together, a new understanding began to form between them, a bond that went beyond the mission, beyond the differences in their worlds. They didn't have all the answers, but they were willing to discover them together. Adam had never imagined that his life would take such a strange turn. Lyra, the alien maid sent to study humanity, had become a part of his world. He was no longer just a man living in a small apartment. Now he shared his home with an alien from another world, someone who had not only changed his daily routine, but also made him question everything he knew about the universe. One evening, as Adam and Lyra were sitting together, talking about life and emotions. They heard a loud sound outside the apartment. It was a low, rumbling noise that seemed to shake the walls. Adam looked up, startled. What was that? He asked, his heart racing. Lyra stood up and walked toward the window. I am not sure, she said, her voice calm but alert. I will check. Adam followed her to the window where they both stared out into the night. They saw nothing at first, but then, in the distance, a large dark shape appeared in the sky. It moved slowly, almost as if it was hovering. Adam's eyes widened in disbelief. Is that ... a spaceship? He asked, his voice filled with both awe and fear. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, it is a ship from my people. Before Adam could react, the ship descended, landing just outside the building. It was massive, unlike anything Adam had ever seen before. The lights from the ship flickered, casting an eerie glow over the street. Adam felt a chill run down his spine. What's going on, Lyra? Why are they here? Adam asked, his voice trembling. Lyra's expression was unreadable. They have come for me. Adam's heart sank. Who are they? They are from the same alien faction that sent me to observe Earth, Lyra explained. They are my superiors. They will want me to return with them. It is part of my mission. I have no choice. Adam's mind raced. He had known that Lyra was here for a reason, but he hadn't expected this. He had thought she was free to choose her path, but now he realized that she was still bound by her mission. I can't let them take you, Adam said, his voice firm. I don't know who they are, but you're not going anywhere. Lyra looked at him with a mixture of sadness and understanding. Adam, I am sorry. I did not want this to happen. I wanted to stay with you, but my mission, it is not over. They will take me whether I want to go or not. Adam stood still, his thoughts racing. He didn't know what to do. Lyra had become more than just a maid to him. She had become someone he cared about deeply. He couldn't lose her, not like this. I'm not going to let them take you without a fight, Adam said, his voice strong with determination. Lyra reached out and placed a hand on his arm. I appreciate your feelings, Adam, but you do not understand. They are not just here for me. They are here to observe and control. They will do anything to get what they want. Adam turned away, looking out the window at the dark spaceship. He knew he had to act fast, but he didn't have a plan. He wasn't sure if he could stop them, but he had to try. For Lyra, and for himself. That's the spaceship's hatch opened. A group of alien soldiers emerged. They were tall, with dark skin and glowing eyes. They walked with a quiet authority, their movements synchronized as if they were one entity. Ng the alley for an escape, but there was nowhere to hide. The soldiers were too fast. They had already spotted them. Adam gritted his teeth. Not if I can help it. He pulled Lyra behind a stack of crates, trying to keep out of sight. The alien soldiers were getting closer, their voices low and unintelligible. Adam could feel the tension building as the footsteps grew louder. Without warning, Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. Leave us alone. The soldiers stopped in their tracks, surprised by her defiance. Lyra stood tall, her eyes flashing with an intensity Adam hadn't seen before. I will not go with you. I will stay here. For a moment, the soldiers stood still, unsure of what to do next. Adam watched in awe as Lyra's determination seemed to reach out to them. He didn't know what she was doing, but it felt like something powerful was happening. Suddenly, the leader of the soldiers spoke in a deep, commanding voice. You cannot defy the will of the council, Lyra. You are bound by your mission. You must return with us. But Lyra didn't back down. I will not be controlled. I choose my path, and I choose to stay. The tension in the air was thick, and Adam knew that this was just the beginning. They were far from safe, but for the first time he felt a flicker of hope. Whatever happened next, he and Lyra would face it together. The standoff between Lyra and the alien soldiers was intense. Adam could feel his heart pounding in his chest, every second feeling like an eternity. Lyra stood tall, facing the soldiers with determination, but Adam knew the danger was far from over. He didn't know what Lyra was planning, but something in her eyes told him she wasn't giving up without a fight. The alien soldiers were silent, watching her carefully. They didn't seem angry, but there was an undeniable power in the air, pressure that Adam could feel in his bones. He was just a human, and he had no idea how to stop them if things went wrong. But Lyra wasn't just any alien. She was smart, powerful, and unlike anyone he had ever met. And now, Adam realized, she had become someone he needed to protect. The leader of the soldiers stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over them both. His voice was calm, but Adam could hear the authority behind it. Lyra, you have no choice. You must come with us. Lyra didn't back down. I told you, I choose my own path. I'm not going anywhere with you. Adam felt a surge of hope. Maybe they could do this together. He reached out to Lyra's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. He wasn't alone. She wasn't alone. Together, they could find a way to fight back. You can't make her leave, Adam said, stepping forward, his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. She's not going anywhere. You're not taking her. The soldiers exchanged looks, surprised by Adam's defiance. Lyra turned to him, her expression softening. Adam, this is not your fight. I cannot allow them to hurt you. I'm in this with you, Adam said firmly. We'll find a way out of this. Together, Lyra hesitated, but then she nodded. She took a deep breath, her violet eyes glowing with a strength Adam hadn't seen before. She wasn't just an alien, she was someone he cared about, someone who had become part of his world, and he wasn't going to let anyone take her from him. With a sudden movement, Lyra stepped forward, placing herself between Adam and the alien. Soldiers, I will not return with you, she said, her voice strong. I will protect this human. I will protect Earth. The soldiers paused, their expressions hard to read. Adam couldn't tell if they were impressed or frustrated, but he knew they weren't going to back down easily. The leader of the group took another step forward, his eyes narrowing. You do not understand the consequences of your actions. Lyra, he said, his voice cold. Your mission was clear. You are meant to observe and report, not to make decisions based on your emotions. I was never meant to be your tool, Lyra replied, her voice unwavering. I've learned more than just facts. I've learned what it means to care for someone, to fight for something bigger than myself. I choose to stand by him. Adam could see the leader's frustration growing. The soldiers behind him shifted uneasily, as if waiting for an order. Adam felt the tension building, and his mind raced. He had to do something. He couldn't let this end with Lyra being taken away. Lyra, Adam whispered urgently, do you have a plan? Lyra's eyes met his, and for the first time, she seemed uncertain. I do not know if I can stop them, but I can protect you, she said quietly. You must escape. I will hold them off. No, Adam said, shaking his head. I'm not leaving you. Lyra's gaze softened. Adam, you must. I can't do this alone. You're my only chance at understanding what it means to be human. Adam took a deep breath. There was no choice now. He couldn't leave her. He couldn't let her fight alone. But he needed to think quickly. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He didn't know if it would work, but he had to try. Lyra, we need to distract them. Can you use your powers to cause a diversion? Lyra looked at him, confusion in her eyes. A diversion? I don't know what kind of powers you have, but you're not just any alien, Adam said. You've done things I can't explain. Maybe you can use that to confuse them long enough for us to escape. For a moment, Lyra hesitated, her expression serious. Then, with a quick nod, she stepped back from the soldiers. I will try. Adam took a deep breath. The soldiers were still watching them, but they seemed unsure of what to do next. They weren't expecting Lyra to turn against them, and that was their mistake. Lyra raised her hands, her violet eyes glowing brighter as she focused. Adam could feel the air around them change, as if the world itself was holding its breath. A low hum filled the air, and suddenly, a flash of light erupted from Lyra's hands. The soldiers staggered back, momentarily blinded by the bright flare. Was Adam's chance. He grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her toward the side street. Go, we have to move fast. Lyra ran beside him, her speed unmatched. She had more strength than any human, and Adam could barely keep up. The soldiers were still recovering from the distraction, but they wouldn't stay down for long. They had to get away, and fast. They sprinted through the alley, moving as quickly as they could. Adam's heart was pounding in his chest. Every step felt like it could be their last, but he wasn't going to stop. Not now, not when they were so close. Behind them, Adam could hear the soldiers regrouping. Their footsteps were quick, but they weren't as fast as Lyra. She was a step ahead, guiding him through the winding streets, away from the danger. But as they turned a corner, Adam could see more soldiers appearing ahead. They were trapped. We need another way out, Adam said, panicking. He was running out of ideas, and the soldiers were closing in. Lyra turned to him, her expression calm despite the danger. There is another way, she said quietly. Follow me. With no time to waste, Adam trusted her. He followed her down another narrow alley, hoping they could find an escape before it was too late. The narrow alley seemed to stretch endlessly as Adam and Lyra ran, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the walls. The soldiers were still chasing them, but Lyra's speed kept them ahead. Every corner they turned, Adam's heart raced faster. He had no idea where they were going, but he trusted Lyra. She knew this city better than anyone. They passed through alleyways, jumped over small fences, and squeezed through spaces that Adam didn't even know existed. The world around them was blurred by the speed at which they moved, but Adam kept his focus on Lyra, trusting her to guide them to safety. "Lyra, where are we going?" Adam panted, barely able to keep up. "We're almost there," she replied, her voice calm despite the danger. "We need to get to a place where they can't track us. I have a way out." Adam was confused but didn't question her. He could feel the soldiers closing in. Their footsteps were getting louder, and Adam knew they didn't have much time. But Lyra was still ahead of him, moving with purpose. He could sense that she had a plan. They reached a dead end in the alley. Adam stopped, panting heavily. "Lyra, this is it, we're trapped." Lyra didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, her hand glowing faintly. "No, we are not trapped," she said, her voice filled with confidence. With a swift motion, she touched a hidden panel in the wall. There was a soft click, and the wall slowly slid open, revealing a small, secret passageway. Adam blinked in surprise. He had no idea this was here. "Where did that come from?" Adam asked, his voice full of disbelief. Lyra smiled. "This passage is part of a system designed for emergency situations. It will lead us to a safe location." Adam followed her into the passage, which was narrow and dark. The air smelled musty, but it was better than being caught by the soldiers. They moved quickly, the walls barely wide enough for them to walk side by side. As they moved further into the tunnel, Adam noticed that the passage was surprisingly well maintained. It was clear that this was a hidden escape route, built for a purpose far beyond ordinary use. After a few minutes of walking in silence, Lyra suddenly stopped. "We should be safe now," she said, turning to face Adam. "The soldiers will not find us here." Adam breathed a sigh of relief. He leaned against the wall, exhausted. "I don't know how you did that, Lyra. I thought we were done for." Lyra's eyes softened. "I'm glad you trust me, Adam. I didn't want to put you in danger, but I couldn't let them take me back. Not after everything I've learned here. Not after everything we've shared." Adam looked at her, feeling a mix of emotions. "I'm glad too. I don't know what would have happened if you weren't here, but what now? What happens next?" Lyra took a deep breath. "I don't know. I was sent here for a mission, but my mission is no longer the same. I no longer want to observe humans from a distance. I want to understand what it means to truly live, and I want to do that with you." Adam felt his heart swell with emotion for the first time in a long while. He realized that he didn't want to go back to his old life. Lyra had become more than just a strange alien maid to him. She had become someone he cared about, someone he couldn't imagine living without. "I want that too, Lyra," Adam said softly. "I don't know what the future holds, but I know I don't want to be alone anymore. I've seen what kind of person you are, and I can't just walk away from that." Lyra's eyes sparkled with warmth. "Then we will face the future together, Adam. Whatever happens, we will figure it out." Adam smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over him. For the first time, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. He had spent so much of his life alone, focusing on work and keeping to himself. But now, with Lyra by his side, he realized there was more to life than just surviving. There was living, and loving, and sharing moments with someone who truly understood him. Lyra stepped closer to him, her presence comforting. "You have changed me, Adam. I came here to observe, to learn, but now, I've learned something more important, that being human is about connection. It's about finding someone to share your life with." Adam's heart swelled. "I never expected any of this. I never imagined I'd be here, with you, facing all this, but now that I am, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else." They stood there in the dim light of the passage, their bond stronger than ever. They didn't have all the answers, but for the first time, they didn't need them. They were together, and that was enough. Just then, they heard a noise coming from the tunnel entrance. Adam tensed, but Lyra held up a hand, signaling for him to be quiet. She listened carefully, her senses sharp as always. "It's safe," she said after a moment. "The soldiers will not be able to track us here. We are free for now." Adam nodded, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. "Where does this tunnel lead?" Lyra smiled, her eyes filled with a mixture of mystery and hope. "It leads to a place where we can start fresh, a place where we can be free to make our own choices." Adam took a deep breath, the fear and uncertainty of the past days starting to fade away. He didn't know what the future would hold, but with Lyra by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Together, they walked deeper into the tunnel, knowing that whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them as partners, as equals, and as something more than they had ever expected.